In this chapter, you're going to learn how to create a business letter with a letterhead and a table, and you'll also be adding an envelope as you see on the screen. In a business environment, people use documents to communicate with others. Business documents can include letters, memos, newsletters, proposals, and resumes. An effective business document clearly and concisely conveys its message and has a professional, organized appearance. You can use your own creative skills to design and compose business documents. Using Word, for example, you can develop the content and decide on the location of each item in a business document. At some time, you will more than likely have to prepare a business letter. Contents of business letters include requests, inquiries, confirmations, acknowledgments, recommendations, notifications, responses, thank you letters, invitations, offers, referrals, complaints, and more. In the example that you see ahead of you, this is called the letterhead. It has the name of the business up there as well as the address, phone number, and email. Right beneath the letterhead you'll see the date, the inside address, the salutation. The body of the letter is everything beneath the salutation. The text between the Dear Ms. Lee and the Sincerely would be called the body or message of the letter. Sincerely is called the complimentary close. Yours truly is another example of a complimentary close. And then the name of the letter writer and his title is right beneath that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start. Let's launch Word. I guess I am going to go Control N since I already have Word open. That will open a brand new document. Okay, in this letter we're going to start out by modifying the margins. Typically a business letter has 1-inch margins all the way around, but for this example they want you to learn how to modify your margins. To do so, you're going to go to your Layout tab and then click on the Margins button. And we are going to use the moderate margin setup. So our left and right margins will be 3/4 of an inch instead of an inch. Okay, so as you noticed, our ruler changed a little bit up here. I also like to double click the dark gray of the ruler. That will also bring up your margin page setup where you can adjust your margins, and there's a whole host of other things you can do from the page setup box. Okay, so we have our margins set. We're going to create the letterhead, and so the letterhead, as stated before, is going to contain the business name and contact information. And we're going to jazz it up with shapes and colors. So we'll go to the Insert tab, choose Shapes, and we're going to use the rectangle shape here. Right where the cursor is where I'm going to begin to draw. So I'm just going to click and draw my shape like so. They're specific in the book as to the width and length of the shape. So you can see right here where we have our size, our width and length is set up here. And we'll go ahead and adjust that to 0.53. And the width is going to be 5.7. Okay, if I hit enter, then the result will show up there. And we're going to go ahead and go to our drawing tool. Well, I guess we're there. Position is where we need to go. And we'll select the position in top center so it centers it on our page. I'm going to zoom up a little bit. Okay, we're going to right click in this area and tell it that we want to add some text. And we'll go ahead and type Apple or Village of Apple Park. Whoops. Having problems typing today. Okay, so let's select Village of Apple Park, and they want you to use the increase font button until the text is, I believe, 24 or 26. I guess it's 26. We're also going to bold that font. Click on your Drawing Tools tab. We're going to change our shape style to, I believe, yes, Moderate Effect Gray. And we're going to change our position, our wrapping position. Go to Wrap Text, and Top Bottom is the choice. Then we'll click on our Design tab. We want to change our color themes to Circuit. Okay, there we go. So now we have this nice red gradient of sorts for our color in the background. Now we'll get ready to do our clip art. The textbook wants you to go to Insert and Online Pictures. I could not find the clip art that they're using in the book when I went to the online pictures and did a Bing search. So you're going to have to go to our classroom and download the graphics so that you can follow along with the instructions in the book, and so that we're working with the same actual clip art graphic. So go ahead and do that if you have not already done so. Now that you have your Apple downloaded, let's go to Insert, Pictures, choose Downloads, and double click your Apple. Whoops, Control Z. Make sure you don't have anything selected like I did. Insert, Pictures, Apple. Okay, so it comes in like so. Awfully big. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the dialog box, the Advanced Layout dialog box launcher here, and click on it. And we're going to make the height and width 8%. And click OK. So now we have a nice, about the right size apple for our letterhead. Okay, they're going to show you in the book to do various different things with this graphic so you can learn how to work with the color and the color corrections. What happens is we're going to have a transparency on this apple that's going to make it look a little funny. So I'm going to show you how to get it back to where they want it to be or how it appears in the book. The steps in the book don't match what I'm doing. Somewhere in the directions it doesn't work, so I went ahead and modified them. So we're going to go ahead and click on the color button, and in the book they want you to use the washout. Then they have you go back to the color button and set the transparent color, which means that we're going to make any color outside of the apple see-through. So I'm going to click there. Then we're going to go to color corrections, and we're going to apply the contrast and brightness -20, like so. Use the text wrapping button right next to the picture for layout options, and we want to choose in front of text. They further ask you to put a picture border on your apple that is this green lime accent one, darker 25%. And then what we're going to do is place our apple over the top of our banner here. So as you can tell in the book, if you're following along, for some reason or another, when they applied the transparent color, it stayed white in the background. So I think they missed a step somewhere in there. So what we're going to do so that our apple has that white background, just like what you see in the book, is we're going to go to Picture Tools. Well, actually, I'm going to right-click on the apple. It's faster this way. Go to Format Picture, We're going to click on the paint bucket over here and fill, solid fill, and we want our fill color to be white. Okay, so we'll go ahead and close this now that we're done so we can have more viewable space. If I click off the apple, now I have that white fill in the background. I'm going to go ahead and just manipulate it with my up arrow to move it so it's a little bit more even with the border. Okay, so we have our apple and we want one on the other side. Guess I need to move that down. Okay, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can Control-C copy and Control-V paste, or you can hold down your Control key and drag the apple to the opposite side, and it does a copy that way as well. So holding down the Control or a Control drag on a graphic will copy it for you. So now we have apples on both sides of the page. We're going to flip this apple horizontally, so we want to be on the Format tab. We're going to go to Rotate, and as you go through the rotation tools, notice what happens to the apple. We want to flip it horizontally so the leaf on the apple is pointing to the right instead of the left. Okay, so now we have our business name and our logo. It's ready to go. Now it's time to add the contact information. So we want our mailing address, city, state, and zip code and so forth beneath our banner. So we'll go ahead and click beneath it and use our center button or go Control-E, and we'll type in the address that you see on page WD 141. So go ahead and type in the 15 Center Street, Horizon, Montana, and the zip code, and then stop. Okay, now that we have our address in there, we're going to use our space bar after the zip code. I'm going to turn on my formatting marks so you can see what's going on here. We're going to go to Insert, and we're going to put a symbol in there to separate our mailing address from our phone number. So click on the symbol button and go to More Symbols. Look at your font. Make sure it says normal text at the top. If you click on the list arrow, you can see that there are a number of fonts beneath that. And then we're going to scroll down in our normal font or normal text box to find this little dot symbol. Once you find it, click on it and then Insert and then Close. Notice we have this little dot in here as a separator between our address and what we will next type, which is our phone number. So use a space bar. We're going to type in phone, colon, parenthesis, and the zip code, or not the zip code, but the area code, which is 870, space, make sure you put a parenthesis after the 870, 555-4400, space. Let's go to our symbol button, and then since we just used that new symbol, it's there in our list, so we don't have to do a search anymore. We'll just click on that symbol to insert it, space, and then our email. applepark@world.com. Okay, so now we have our contact information underneath our name of our business. I'm going to turn my formatting marks off so we can see what's going on here a little bit better. Now we'd like to separate our letterhead up here from our letter with a line. So we're going to click, make sure you have an insertion point here in the contact line. Go to your border button and choose bottom border. I'm going to triple click this line and turn this font from 11 to 12 so it's a little bit bigger. Okay, so here's our letterhead. Go ahead and double click beneath your border so that you can put your insertion point beneath that line. We're going to go File, Save As, and this is going to be called, go ahead and save it to your documents, I guess, or the desktop, whichever you prefer. We're going to call this Village of Apple Letterhead. Okay, we're going to click Save. Let's go ahead and I want you to close this. Okay. Now, the reason I had you close it is this letterhead is something that the business will use for every letter that they type. And so when you go to open the letterhead, you're going to rename it with a different name so that your letterhead doesn't get spoiled. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to call it quits right now for this particular tutorial. It's getting kind of long. We will reopen the letterhead and rename it in our next step.